Hey guys, Braden here. Welcome back to LCW Productions. I'm here today with the top 5 LEGO movies that we need. But before we get into the top 5, make sure to like the video, comment down below if you like this listing, if you would have added or changed any of the IPs and themes, maybe you think we should switch one out. Make sure to subscribe for future videos and make sure to turn on those notifications to get notified about my future uploads. Okay guys, let's go ahead and lay down some ground rules. I'm going to give you guys 5 different movie ideas, and I'm also going to give you guys 5 parts to a storyline. So we're going to start out here with number 5. We're going to go with LEGO Star Wars. So to get right on into this, we're going to break it down into 5 parts like I said. I basically got a nice storyline for you guys. So the first part of the movie is going to take place between episode 4 and 5. Just to let you guys know, there is a 3-year gap between episode 4 and 5 of Star Wars. The story will start with the rebels evacuating Yavin 4 and escaping Imperial reinforcements after the Death Star attack. A lot like episode 8 at the beginning, right? We're going to go with the second part here is regrouping on the ships they escaped on and calling for any stragglers to group up with the fleet and making a distress call for anyone who has not joined to do so now while they have the momentum and to find a new base. The third part of the movie will be the rebel scouts report back and locate the planet Hoth. The rebels will then go there and settle their new base. The fourth part is we're going to get a scene with Darth Vader in a meeting to find the rebels at any cost. We transition into our heroes Han, Luke, and Chewbacca about to embark on a mission to Ord Mantell. They travel to the planet, and as they are loading supplies into their ship, Score and Boba Fett, the bounty hunters, attack them out of nowhere. They contact the Empire, alerting Darth Vader. Our heroes make it back to the ship and take off. But just as they are about to escape, the Slave One shoots them down, making them softly crash. Luke decides to head back to town as Chewie and Han fix the ship. This ends up being a poor decision because Luke ends up running into Imperial forces landing on the planet. Darth Vader is talking with Inquisitors as he feels a disturbance in the Force. Luke, watching from the distance, having some ideas of himself that he is capable because he just blew up the Death Star, decides it would be a great idea to end Vader while he has the chance. We then get a scene with Luke walking into the town Western style as Vader approaches as well. Remember, this is a very untrained version of Luke who has literally no idea what he is walking into. The duel is over fairly quickly and Luke is captured. Part 5, we cut into an Imperial blockade of the planet. Han and Chewie decide to call for help as they fix the ships and the rebels scramble fighters and send them to Ord Mantell. Luke gets interrogated by Vader, who is able to resist. If Rey could do it to Kylo, Luke could do it to Vader. Han and Chewie go look for Luke after talking to some locals, find out that he was captured by the Empire. Han and Chewie plan to break him out, and they do. They run back to the Falcon and take off. Vader realizes Luke is gone and throws a fit. The rebels then arrive in space and break a hole in the blockade for our heroes to escape. The Falcon meets an X-Wing in space and follows it out of orbit. They then ensue in a desperate fight to escape. They then break free and hit lightspeed back to Hoth. Our heroes rejoice of their luck and they are narrowly escaped. We cut to the last shot of the movie with Darth Vader in his chambers promising his master that they will not lose them next time. Obviously this would transition into episode 5. There will be a time jump halfway through this movie from the escape to the mission. There will probably be about a 2.5-year difference there. And yeah, so things that I'm trying to connect here. The Falcon crashes. We see Han and Chewie fixing the Falcon on Hoth. Luke then kind of has this calling to get training, so therefore I'm sure Obi-Wan saw Luke get his butt handed to him and was like, hey, you should go train with Yoda, right? I'm trying to connect everything just a little bit so you guys see where I'm coming from. I just want a Lego Star Wars movie in general. This was just something I just came up with, right? Completely out of butt. I think it's a good story, right? I don't know if they could fill an entire movie with this. Maybe they add something in the middle of them finding Hoth and them going on the mission to really expand the story. But, you know, this is just a top 5 video. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more interesting. But I think I came with a decent story. And And yeah, let's go ahead and move on to number 4. We're going to get a Lego Disney movie. So I'm going to go more of a focused Disney princess movie here. And I apologize if I make any mistakes in this. I'll test my knowledge here with my story. But so Lego Disney princess movie is basically what we're going to go with here. In regards to Lego Disney, it is heavily geared towards young girls. So I tried to get a kind of coming to age story or something along those lines for this. So let's see how I did here. So we're going to start with part 1. The Disney princess world begins to collide into the real Lego world. Now, there's no real world like the world we live in. I'm talking about the Lego world that would be the established real world in this movie. Cinderella, Belle, Snow White, basically every popular Disney princess now join this real Lego world, and they're confused and do not know where they all are. It is important to mention they are all together. Little did they know that the big bad guys have hatched a plot to get them all together to exact their revenge on them. As all the princesses get to modern Lego world, the bad guys launch their first attack on them, making the princesses realize the danger they are in and who are inflicting it. So basically just take the princesses, whoever their respective villains are, they're all plotting against them. Kind of like a Sinister Six style with Spider-Man, just Disney princesses. Stay with me. Part 2, we cut to a modern style Lego Cinderella story archetype with a teenage girl being bullied by her friends and siblings. She takes refuge in her basement playing with the princess dolls that her dad gave her before he passed. She goes on a walk one night by herself and encounters the princesses in the middle of the street, wandering aimlessly. She then invites them into her basement. The princesses explain to the girl what is happening to them. Part 3, the girl goes upstairs and sees on the TV that the bad guys have taken over Disney World in Florida. The princesses decide the best way to get back to their respective worlds is to defeat the bad guys and get home. The bad guys then locate the girl's house and they launch another attack, making the princesses flee the basement. Part 4, the princesses travel across the country to Florida to go to Disney World, where the final showdown will take place. They arrive there to confront their enemies. The princesses are now battling their respective bad guys with weapons, animals, and powers they have. And probably something along the power of friendship, something like that. Part 5, they end up winning and restoring Disney World to its former glory. And they say a final goodbye to the girl, and they fade back into their own worlds. The girl is now a hero in her world and escapes her family's grasp and is now happy to go on with her normal life. This, out of the whole list, I think we should get a Lego Disney movie, specifically regarding the Lego princesses. I think that story should be, a little bit better than that. But we're just gonna, I'm just adding it in there to give people some starting ideas. But we're going to go ahead and get into number 3. We're going to get a Lego Minecraft movie. Now, as of the recording of this video, the Minecraft movie with Jack Black has not yet released. But based off the trailers, that's the best they can do. And besides, the Lego Minecraft movie is probably a few years too late. But my opinion is that Lego and Minecraft go very well together because both are deeply woven in the idea of enhancing children's creativity. So what I'm saying with the Lego Minecraft movie is literally take the story of Steve and Alex starting in the world and building all the way to the end game battle. So part 1, we're going to spawn in the world and find general resources, give Steve and Alex some personalities of like a brother and sister. I think it would be a mistake to make them like boyfriend and girlfriend. I think that would be unnecessary. Part 2, we then establish a home and a mine to find minerals. They get trapped in a cave that they traveled into. They have to find a way out, encountering the first time skeletons, spiders, and zombies. Part 3, during their mining trip, they get enough obsidian for a nether portal. They travel to the nether. At some point, we add some drama in there where the two characters are not able to get along because the nether is basically hell, and let's just give something that drives them apart because story has a story. Part 4, they reconcile and get back to their mission to get materials to travel to the end. They travel to a village to ask locals where they can find a temple/cave that houses an ancient portal to the end. They travel and locate one of these portals. They prepare to travel to the end to battle the dragon. Part 5, they fight and defeat the Ender Dragon and then come back as heroes of their world, and the movie ends. I think this is a very simple movie that would literally be one of those things where it's just so simple that it works, and it will make them lots of money, so they should make it for that reason, right? Now, I think that in this movie, there needs to be some more drama added. You need to expand on the actual... I think one of the things that also makes like video game adaptations work well is that, or let me rephrase that does not make them work well, is that the experience of actually playing the game is not invoked out of you the same way that the story is for the game versus the movie. If they can some way creatively come up with ways that challenging parts of the actual gaming experience, the emotions that you feel, the nostalgia that you feel when you revisit the game are invoked out of you while watching the movie, I think they will accomplish a lot. Now, if they made this movie and it was very straightforward and just narrow, kind of like what I have proposed, I don't think it will work exactly the way that they would want it to. So it would take someone who is extremely talented screenplay writer and a director to truly understand the world that they're trying to create and flesh it out, make some interesting stories. Just based off the trailer from the Minecraft movie that is going to be coming out with Jack Black, it just looks ridiculous. I think that's the best way I can put it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into number 2. We're going to go with Lego Spider-Man. We're going to start with part 1 here. We'll just jump right on into this. We're going to open with a big battle with Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. We're going to get a big battle sequence. We start with Spider-Man at the height of his power and his abilities. We get to the end of the first part. The movie is with him swinging away. He's very sure of himself, thinking that he's got anything, that he can take anything that they throw at him. We're going to cut to part 2. We cut to Doc Ock conspiring in his lair about how to beat that pesky Spider-Man. And all of a sudden he gets a message from Wilson Fisk. He's recruiting a special task force to take out Spider-Man once and for all. We then get a montage of the other Sinister Six members getting this message and their reactions. I think that'd be a really funny thing for them to, like, you know, just be doing something random and like that you wouldn't expect them to be doing and getting a message and be like, oh wait, now I gotta go do this. In this part of the movie, we will start to see a strained relationship between Peter and Gwen as he is spending more and more time as Spider-Man and less time as a boyfriend. We end part 2 with the villains meeting with Wilson Fisk and giving them the plan to end Spider-Man. Part 3, we get a part with Gwen being captured by Green Goblin to lure Spider-Man to the battle. The battle ensues, and we get the famous Gwen falling scene, but in this storyline, Spider-Man saves her and tells her to basically run off, and she does. There you go. So then this is kind of a separated thing, like she walks off, it's a little bit of a heartfelt scene, like, oh, go save yourself. And so here's what happens next. He's like walking back to the battle, like epic style. And so like he enters the battle, he's ready to face the Sinister Six. And he gets a few good licks in, a few good kicks and punches, but is ultimately like brutally defeated. Like completely 1v6. He loses bad. Okay. Then we transition to part 4. He gets defeated and he's beat so bad that the supervillains just leave him for dead. Like they're like, there's no way. Yeah, he's just dead. Just leave him there. He's not even worth it, right? Their egos are so big. They're like, nah, we don't even have to double tap him. He's just gone, right? So the villains leave him on the ground as he fades into consciousness. We get a scene where he wakes up in the hospital, and he now lives in a world where the entire world knows who Spider-Man is. We get a breaking news story for J. Jonah Jameson about Spider-Man's identity finally revealed. That transitions into the Sinister Six holding the mayor and the city hostage to give all the power of Lego New York City to Wilson Fisk. With no one to stop him, this is their most desperate hour. Peter realizes that he knows what he needs to do to stop them, but doesn't know if he can do it alone. We get a montage of him asking the other street-level heroes to join his side to defeat the Sinister Six. Amongst them would be Daredevil, Punisher, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Part 5. We begin with an epic walk into the City Hall montage with our heroes about to square down with the bad guys, the Sinister Six. We get an epic battle with the Sinister Six where the good guys handle their own and are able to become victorious. The heroes converge on Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, where he is in the mayor's office in his chair. A fight ensues with some awesome one-liners and the heroes are able to subdue him. The city is saved and all is restored. We cut to a coffee date with Gwen and Peter where Gwen breaks up with him for hiding who he is from her and not thinking that she can trust him in the future. And the movie ends with Peter saving the city and getting an invite to the Avengers Tower. So there you go. That's my Lego Spider-Man movie pitch. Again, got to add a lot more to it. It's just a very basic 5 parts. Let's see what we can come up with. I think we should get a Sinister Six movie where, Peter just gets his butt handed to him, and then he has to have this big triumphant get back up, the power of teamwork. In this version, he literally has the same idea, but he gets beat so bad that he has to come back from it. And I think that's a more common theme for Spider-Man, is that he always makes the right decision. He always makes the right choices. Even in the hardest moments, when he gets his butt handed to him, he can come back. Now what you guys have been waiting for, number 1, we're going to go with the Lego Batman 2. Now, I know, Lego Batman 2 was going to be made and it was canceled. But I still think that they should revisit this because I think there is so much potential for a great Lego Batman 2 movie. In fact, the Lego Batman movie, and I'm a huge Batman fan, is one of my favorite Batman movies. I think they correctly get all of the character archetypes. They kind of mix it all together, and they take the flaws from Batman and just blow it up to ridiculous proportion, and it works great for a Lego character, and I think that it's just a great movie. But here we go. We're going to get into Lego Batman 2. This is going to be a Batman about who Batman is. So not necessarily a movie about him fighting his egotistical narcissism. We're going to go into more of a self-identity crisis. And in the previous movie, we addressed that Batman is an egocentric narcissist. But after he overcomes that, he realizes that he has some deep scars about who he is. Part 1. Another epic opening to the movie with the Joker convincing the bad guys to rejoin him and fight Batman again. They then launch another assault on a weary Gotham. Basically the same thing that happened in the first movie, repeat it in the second, just with a different scenario, okay? Batman and his newfound team come in this time in a similar scenario. Instead of having to choose between saving the city and capturing Joker, he has help and does both. Joker and all the other bad guys now being back in Arkham, Batman and the other heroes go back into hiding, awaiting the next bad thing to happen. Part 2. It's quiet in Gotham for some time. Batman realizes once again with no one to fight that he doesn't know who he is. He begins to take his frustration back out on the people around him, pushing them away and slipping back into old habits. Barbara goes back into full-time police commissioner, leaving behind Batgirl. Robin eventually gets bored and decides to go to school and join the circus, but he still kind of sticks around and lives with Bruce. So it's really back to Batman and Alfred. Alfred gives Batman a heart-to-heart with hopes that he will also, too, put the cowl and cape aside and take the mantle of CEO of Wayne Enterprises, and does good with that. Part 3. We get a fun montage of him dramatically giving up the cape and cowl and stepping into the role of being a billionaire philanthropist. Time passes by once again and he gets comfortable and good at his new role. As he gets comfortable, he begins to make mistakes as a CEO, and then the company's profits fall. We then transition into the board then introduces a new face in the room. Who could it be? Lex Luthor walks into the room and proposes a bunch of new strategies. He proposes to absorb Wayne Enterprises into LexCorp for weapon manufacturing. The board then kicks Wayne to the curb and takes Lex's proposal. We then end part 3 with a very dismantled and broken Bruce. He has now lost Batman, and he has now lost his identity of being a billionaire CEO as well. He then goes in the Batcave, lost and confused on where to go and who he is. We get another time jump. Time passes by. We cut to Bruce in a robe and his cowl, and he's playing the guitar in the Batcave, just like the scene after he eats his lobster thermidor, as an alarm suddenly goes off. LexCorp launches an attack on Gotham City to take over. He quickly gets to his bat cowl and cape and realizes that he is out of shape. Think Fat Thor trying to fit into the Batman suit, okay? Real comic relief there. And prepared, but he's not prepared, but Gotham City needs him. And he goes in the Batmobile and races to the city. A big battle between a slowed down Batman and Lex Luthor in his mech suit ensues. And Lex Luthor wins, sends Batman packing back. Alright, a defeated Batman then goes back to the Batcave and Alfred tends to him. Alfred reminds Batman of who he is and what he stands for. We then get a hilarious montage of Batman getting back into shape, getting that 9-pack back, and then he goes to get Barbara and Robin. And then, this would be one of the funniest moments in the entire movie. We get a reluctant Batman to go to the Fortress of Solitude and reluctantly ask for Superman's help. Yeah, so this would not, I think this would be important because we spent the whole first movie making him a person that is comfortable with asking for help, to not totally kill what the whole point of the first movie, because we do that a little bit in this story with me mentioning that he falls back into old habits, to make sure that he learned his lesson. He is comfortable with asking Superman for help, who he affectionately calls him his arch nemesis in the first one anyways. So Superman is his worst enemy. He is now going to team up with him to take down Lex Luthor. So let's see what happens. Superman agrees, and then they all travel back to Gotham for the final showdown. We then get into part 5. There's a big boss fight between Lex Luthor versus Superman and Batman. Batgirl and Robin fight off all his minions so they can focus on Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor defeats Superman with a kryptonite blaster, and Batgirl and Robin become overwhelmed and are pinned down. The movie comes to an absolute climax of Batman realizing that he can either stand up and defeat evil and save his friends and restore the city back to where it was, or to all the mistakes that he has made over the past few years. What will Batman do? He takes one step back and then gives this epic monologue about his journey and growth and who Batman is to Lex Luthor, and then quickly transitions a cut off of the monologue, abruptly speed building and destroying Lex Luthor's mech, which leads to Batman versus Lex Luthor, who Batman delivers a quick beatdown to Lex Luthor without his mech. Batman recaptures his identity and the city is saved. He realizes that the goal of Batman was to save the city and reestablish peace, and that one day Batman would no longer be needed by Gotham, and that now that the time is up on him and is going to hang up the cape and cowl and ride off into the sunset. Now, again, there's a lot more that would have to be added to this. I genuinely think that this would be a great way for Lego Batman 2 to go. I think my studies into human behavior is that when we address a problem and we fix it, we get really proud of ourselves, and it only takes the right circumstances for us to be put back into old habits. I think a big part of the Lego Batman movie that I love so much is that it really addresses the underlying issues behind Batman, and I think continuing that trend in the second movie would be a very positive light for those who may be struggling with those issues, who may be falling back into old habits that they have been struggling with, and it could be anything. This could be a great movie that shows that even though you might have slid back into that and then things just get worse and they get worse and they get worse, that a circumstance that can happen, or you can just make the choice to be better and to make the right choices, can really turn everything around and save the city in this story. And I think this would be a great conclusion to the Lego Batman just story in general, right? He starts in Lego Movie, go Lego Movie 2, then we get Lego Batman. So I think this would be a great part where all the bad guys, they get locked up, right? They're all handled, and, you know, the new crime that emerges, Barbara can take care of them as the commissioner. But Lex Luthor is too big of a villain. He goes and he has to, you know, kind of like the Dark Knight Rises, right? Where, you know, he falls and has to climb back out of the pit. We get a very similar approach to his character development in this story. And I just think that there's so much potential. Even if they had went nowhere like how this goes, I think there's so much potential for a Lego Batman 2 movie. And yeah, I definitely think this is number one. I've said it in other videos. I've talked about it all the time. I seriously, genuinely think we need a Lego Batman movie too. And we just need general Lego movies, period, point blank. The reason I'm making this video is because the recently released Piece by Piece by Pharrell Williams was released in theaters, and I was inspired by that movie to say, hey, you know what? This opens the door again, I believe, for future Lego movies. Let's come up with some fun ideas, and this is what I came up with. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video. Comment down below on any suggestions you would have had, anything you would have changed, anything you would like to add, take away. Let me know. Let's have a fun conversation in the comments below. This is a fun topic, guys, and I hope that it continues into a topic of conversation later down the line if Lego decides to make more Lego movies. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications to get notified about my future uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great and wonderful day.